The single biggest casualty of mega conferences in modern college football has been Northwestern as a football program, specifically in the Big Ten, and I'll explain. Real ball knowers knew that any given year in the old Big Ten, Northwestern was liable to pop off a random 10-win season. In fact, they had 3 of which from 2012 to 2017, and then 2 Big Ten title game appearances. It just felt like every 2 or 3 years, especially under Pat Fitzgerald, they could have a magical season. And then David Braun kept the tradition going with a magical 8-win season in 2023. But the circumstances that would lead to a season like this, where they'd beat up on Big Ten West teams and maybe notch a win over Maryland and Minnesota, it just doesn't exist anymore. And that's because of the new teams that they just added to the Big Ten. Yes, they built a super conference by adding USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. But you look at a program like Northwestern, all 4 of those programs go higher than you on the totem pole. And all of a sudden you look at the schedule. That's possibly an extra loss. That's probably an extra loss. That's probably an extra loss. And then you look, you're not avoiding all the teams you used to avoid because it's a mega conference, because the conference schedules, there's nowhere to hide. You draw Michigan, Penn State. This is tougher than any schedule that Northwestern would have faced in the old Big Ten. The old way simply doesn't work anymore. You can't be hovering around 17th in recruiting in the Big Ten and expect to compete for a bowl game or let alone a conference title game, especially because they went from the Big Ten West, which was a weaker division within the Big Ten, to now there's no division protection and there's 4 more top-tier programs. And I know that this coaching staff isn't sitting on their hands just waiting for something good to happen. My point here is simply that if you're a program like Northwestern, you can't do it the old way anymore. You can't endure a 4-8 season before popping off 10 wins, because you go through that 4-8 season, your whole roster leaves and you don't have a team for next year. They've got to find different ways to gain an advantage and an edge in the Big Ten, because the old way, it just doesn't work anymore.